On March 31st, 1848, two young children, Kate and Margaret Fox, were in their bedroom of the Fox family's wooden home in Hydesville, just outside of New York. Suddenly, the girls were awoken by a series of knocks, spirit rappings. Frightened and alone, they began to knock back, and discovered a basic method of communication using the knocks. Before long, they discovered they were speaking with an entity, a deceased peddler who had been murdered and buried in their home. They'd just discovered spirit communication. They'd just discovered a method of communicating with the dearly departed, and they did the only rational, sensible thing two young children could do with this information. They took their show on tour. Travelling around the country, managed by their older sister Leah, and attracting numerous converts initially from the Quaker movement, they held seances in darkened rooms where the spirits would come through. This kick-started the spiritualist movement, and before long it had taken over most of the world. If it were not for these two women, we wouldn't have psychic communication today. We wouldn't have spirit cabinets or Ouija boards. We wouldn't have people like Joe Power. Let that sink in for a moment. The Fox sisters had a difficult life, eventually becoming dependent on alcohol and at times outspokenly critical of the spiritualist movement. Eventually, in 1888, they decided to come clean and confess that the spirit knocks had, as had long been suspected, been the result of controlled clicking of their toe and leg joints. Yes, they were cracking their knuckles under the table. Margaret even described spiritualism as the most wicked blasphemy and an absolute falsehood. But this was too little too late. Spiritualism was here to stay. The confession did nothing for either the skeptical argument nor the Fox sisters, who found themselves at odds with almost everyone, eventually retracting the retraction, something many spiritualists hold to as evidence of their truth. How much Kate and Margaret really believed and how much was simply outright fraud we will never know, and which side you take is likely decided by your own beliefs on the topic of spirit communication. But whatever the truth behind the Fox sisters, it was they that gave us the modern spiritualist world, and for better or worse, life and death would be a lot duller had they not given us spiritualism.